Wait, what is it again?
What?
Timeout?
Slash timeout main time. Although, seems like there's not many people.
You think there's not gonna be many people this time?
I'm not planning to do Amy today. I'm gonna try to do shortlist another time. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna find like one more. Were any of the Amy 1 problems yours? The lifting the exponent problem was mine, problem 12. What is what is Papa is you? It's a puzzle game that's like way better than I think a lot of other puzzle games. Yeah, that one. What is moving points? Moving points is this technique that's starting to gain popularity in the US, which is based on showing that certain maps are projective or have like some bound on the degree, and then checking the problem for finitely many points. Um, I don't. You can find some stuff about it on AOPS. The two articles that are written by people I know are the one by Gopal Goel and the one by Zach Kroman. Um, the main reason I haven't said much about it is because it's sort of an advanced technique where if you don't know what you're doing, you'll just like come up with a wrong solution. So it's not a method I recommend for beginners. Oh, is it past 9? All right. Um, yeah. They say else I do a letter. Okay. All right. Let me set things up. You can find some stuff about it on AOPS. The two articles that are written by people I know are the one by Gopal Goel and the one by Zach. Oh, the latency is really bad. The main reason I haven't said much about it is because it's sort of an advanced technique where if you don't know what you're doing, you'll just like come up with a wrong solution. So it's not a method I recommend for beginners. Oh, is it past 9? All right. Yeah. What's the latency so high? All right, all right. Okay, so how do I teleport to the sea line? Green screens are real good. Yeah. Do APMO 2023. I don't think I'm allowed to discuss that yet. Unless, have the problems been posted? I haven't been checking, but they usually take forever, so I kind of assume they're not out yet. Okay, yeah. Trying to decide whether I want to take random questions first or do the problems first. Do you think? Do Do you think OMO has gotten easier or harder since I stopped writing for it? Probably harder. I think contests just get harder on average, especially the ones that are written by the students. Um, the student-run contests change faster than the ones run by older people. Which chapters of EGMO are most useful for JMO problems? I feel I have a hard time giving an answer to that other than like the one that works on the problem. Like, I think a lot of the skill of geometry is picking which method to use on which problem. Like, if you try to throw complex numbers at a problem that should be solved by angle chasing, it's not going to end as well, kind of thing. Is Tev your multi? No. What you say keeps playing back. Oh, okay. I'll adjust the mic. Um, yeah, like JM. Yeah, that's not a problem that you should try to solve synthetically. It's just you should just bury it and be done with it. Is JMO easy for you? Depends on the year. JMO's been weird because when the JMO first started in 2010, the intention was that JMO 3 was USMO 1 and JMO 6 was USMO 4. And you can clearly start to see that this is like not quite what's happening anymore. So the difficulty of JMO is changing quite quickly, I would say, even relative to other competitions. IMO Shortlist 2019 leaked on AOPS. Oh, geez, do I have to go on AOPS? Let me make sure. All right. Okay, one moment, please. Someone says someone posted a shortlist problem. Oh, okay, it's April Fools. Okay. Um, sure. People have been posting RMM shortlist. Yeah, there's. I mean, I didn't go to this year's RMM, so I don't have their shortlist. So there's not much I can do about that. Okay, I think we've been. Yeah, I guess we can start on the math. Live IMO level problems. All right, so this is the lineup for today. So it's G2, C1, C1, and I'm learning from last time. I don't even know if I'll get through all three of these problems, but we'll find out. Boo. I'll do my best. I have paper this time because I decided last time it's not realistic for me to try to do all my work on the iPad. It's just not enough space. Well, it depends on the problem, but the trying to complex bash on the iPad was not optimal at all. All right. All right, here we go. Oh, brownie points for anyone who recognizes that problem. It's not for today. 2009 C1 is in Pascal's book. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I feel bad putting C1 on here because I solved part A before I finished reading part B. Um, but I assume part B is the interesting one. All right. Okay, let's see if this stuff is working. So for the geo, I guess I have to start by drawing it. So G2, I have okay, so I have an isosceles triangle. And then there's a circumcircle, and then M is the midpoint. Okay, so they want me to draw that one. And then I'm taking some point that's centered at this circle, so okay. Let me get it's going to intersect AC at some point, so I want to get that intersection right. Okay, and then I'm taking a point x on the smaller arc BM, so I have a random point x. And then, oh no. T is a point in angle BMA such that Tx equals Bx and TMX equals 90 degrees. Oh no, okay. Alright, did I already mess up? I already messed up. It's on arc MA, not MB, because I was like, there's no such point. Let's try that again. So x is here, and then I take the circle with diameter Tx, I guess. Okay, so let me move that over a little. So I'm drawing the circle with diameter Tx, so that midpoint here, I'll start giving it a name, and it's the midpoint of AB. That looks like might matter because I'm going to be drawing the circle with diameter, what am I doing? It's diameter mx, right? Okay, never mind. So Tx equals Bx. Smaller arc MA. Oh, I'm really not doing well. Can't even read the question correctly. Okay, so smaller arc MA, and then I take the perpendicular bisector of BT. Oh man. Okay, so that's a perpendicular bisector. And what I want TMX equals 90. Um, and then you want MTB minus, oh my god. Okay, so I'm really hoping I don't have to draw that thing, but like, because X looks right now, X looks like it's going to be right about where N is, which is really unfortunate. Um, I'm going to just put it around here. No, that's way off. Should be X on the arc, not T. Oh, did I? Ah, I mislabeled it too. All right. Okay, so X is around here-ish. So something like that look about right. And I labeled it X instead of T. Oh my god. Maybe I should just stop doing this geometry on the stream because it seems like the geometry is all going disastrously. Okay. And then you want angle MTB minus angle CTB to not depend on X. Blue X is T. It's TMX is 90? Oh my god. Okay, that's much better actually, because I was looking at this point T and I was like, I don't want to deal with it. Okay, so T is on the perpendicular bisector. T on angle BMA such that TMX is 90 and TX equals BX. So how's it inside angle BMA? TMX is 90, TX equals BX. What? It's not inside angle BMA that way. Am I a crazy person? It's TX equals B. Oh, okay, sorry. I also drew the wrong oh my god. Disaster. Okay. Get off it. It means you picked X wrong. Yeah, I think whatever. Okay, so I want TMX is 90, so T is on here. And I want TX equals BX. So TX. Okay, is that finally right? Have I made more mistakes? How are we still doing this question? Oh, because I haven't managed to draw the diagram correctly yet. Somehow. Looks good, I think. Okay, so then you have these two random angles that I don't actually know what to do with. Um, all right, fine. BTM minus CTM. So this point C is like kind of weird to me because it almost does nothing in the problem. Like after all this time I spent fudging um stuff, the C isn't really doing much until the very end. Like most of this only depends on B. So I actually wish now I had drawn the diagram such that AB was like a diameter and then M was a point and then C is the reflection because I think the triangle ABC doesn't look like it's that important. Um, like the triangle ABC seems kind of like bait, honestly. And I also have this other point, the other intersection T prime drawn, because when I have this double intersection thing, I generally draw the other intersection point because it often does something. In this case, actually, what happens is there's actually a parallelogram, I think. Like B, T, C, T prime should be a parallelogram because the diagonals bisect each other. Um, so T, B, and wait, what? T, B, T, M, B, X cyclic. I would believe that. Let's find out. Okay. How long? Oh my god, I've spent like 10 minutes. Just. Oh, okay, I see. So what's happening if TBMX is cyclic as people claim, what's happening is I have xt equals xb, and so for this to be true, I want, so if mx is the external bisector of angle BMT, then that would imply the consequence. Is that true? Yeah, that doesn't seem like it should work. Um, MT perpendicular to MX. Yeah, yeah, that doesn't seem like it's true. Okay, I'm scared to redraw the diagram because the first time I tried to draw the diagram, it was a disaster. But I really think I oriented this the wrong way. I think AB should be parallel to the edge of the paper. So, um, draw your own. Was that addressed at me? Okay, I'm gonna try the following, which is I'm gonna try to redraw the diagram rotated in the way that I prefer. And if I don't mess up, then I'll put it on the screen. And if I mess up, I'll just give up. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so then I have it. Dun, 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 dun. I'm too poor to what? I mean, I'm just not able to draw the diagram so far. Okay, so I want tx equals bx. Okay, I think that kind of worked. So let's bring that in. Ah, shoot. Okay, that's much easier to think about, I think. So, is the yellow visible? Also, what is, oh my god, this, it's covered anyways. First page column. I think that yellow is too light to see. Let me draw it in darker color. Okay, so that feels a lot better because the previous diagram I felt like I swear I was looking at it sideways. So anyways, that's the setup now. And then these three guys are also congruent. What if you end up not getting this? I'm hoping that the stream will bail me out if I don't solve the problem because that's what usually happens when I do this with just my kids is I don't actually attempt to solve the problem, they just tell me how to do it. And it usually most works pretty well. Um, yeah, so I'm just gonna, if I'm too tired to solve the geo, I'm just gonna hope my stream bails me out. Anyways, okay, so now let's see. So the thing is I don't really know what these angles are, BTM and CTM. But I see that there's this, it doesn't look like it in this picture because the picture is not, C is a little off. But this thing is a parallelogram. Um, so, oh, BT prime, BTCT prime is parallelogram. And yeah, that sort of helps me understand why the point C is here. And again, I want to orient this such that AB is parallel to edge of paper, because that circle is much more important ABM than the, say, the circumcircle of ABC. There should be a cyclic quad of SOLVES. I really hope so. But for now, I want to move that angle around because I have the parallelogram. Um, so BTM is this angle here, and CTM, I can transfer. Can I get that angle to not depend on C? It would be really nice if I could just kill the point C off completely. So CTM is equal to this angle here. And then BTM is equal to that angle here. So I think I want to do that because like there's no real reason for me to work with C anymore. Like I was able to transfer angle CTM onto T prime, and T prime just seems like a better point than C, I think, because you have more isosceles stuff. So I'm gonna take a bit of a risk and erase C, and if I need it later, I'll try to bring it back. But I think I don't want to work with the point C. Because it just doesn't have anything to do with the problem. So angle CTM is MT prime B, hence erase C altogether. So what else can I do? I can almost transfer all the angles. Angle C, even that little green angle up there, I can actually transfer. It's half of angle TXB. So MT prime B was there, but I can actually kill it off because what happens is it's equal to TXB because there's a big circle centered at X passing through T prime B and T. So I might honestly be able to get rid of T prime as well. It's possible I don't even need that point. Okay. Yeah, it's just that the isosceles triangle right now is so not to scale. It's really confusing. Um, but yeah, XBT is supposed to be isosceles even though it doesn't look like it at all. Um, Draw in the midpoint of BT. Yeah, that's probably a good thing to do. That'll give me another right angle, right? Um, the problem is this diagram is so distorted that you can't. Wait, am I a crazy person? Hang on. Okay, I think this diagram is too bad. I'm going to erase more junk. So I'm going to erase all this stuff up here because I don't need it anymore. Okay, go down, go away. And we're going to zoom you into here. And now T was supposed to be on this perpendicular line, which I'm going to draw properly now. I didn't close the circle before, but I do want to do that now. I'm going to make this a complete circle. So we're going to introduce the antipode y. Let's give the center a circle. Y. And that's my. Okay, so what was I doing? T is supposed to be on this line and satisfying Tx equals Bx. So let's draw it. Ooh, mm, let's draw it properly. Um, T. I really didn't pick a good place to put x, huh? Because it literally looks like it should be around where y is. Do I want to? Do I want to redraw it again? Nah, that's fine. We'll make do. So basically, I want to be able to control um, angle TXB and then BTM. So I can get all the junk with C in terms of um, the angles that are already here. Why is circumcircle blocked? I unblocked it, so it should be fine now. Um, I don't know. I didn't pick the filter. I think that's a default filter. Clearly, some people don't like geo. Um, okay, someone says I shouldn't have deleted T prime. T prime is equal to, look, BT, T prime is the angle bisector between altitude BT, T prime, BX. Do I want to keep D prime? Except midpoint. Yeah, okay, so let's add in that midpoint, and I have a right angle. Yeah, so indeed I get a cyclic quad there. All right, that's good. So since the diagram's getting clunky, what I'm going to do is a thing that is sometimes nice, which is rather than drawing the circumcircle through those 4 points, I'll just circle them, and that's how I'll remember that these 4 points are cyclic. So we introduce the midpoint n of bt, and now half angle txb transfers itself again. Half angle txb is equal to angle xnt, txn, which because of the cyclic quad will equal tmb? Wait. Wait, what? Or sorry, TMN. I was like, TXN. Because I was like, no, yeah, TMB. Okay, great. Um, so that's real good because the problem is asking us is about its angle MTB minus this angle, angle TMN. It looks like I should be able to say something about it. BTM minus TMN. TNM, BTM minus. What is it? Um, so BMT is. Sorry, MTB minus angle TMN. We know this is actually angle to CDM. So MTB minus TMN is something. What is it? Anything good? Seriously? Oh man, I was so excited when I managed to. TNM. I didn't mess up, right? This is actually what the angle was. Oh man, see, I wish I had kept the point C now so I could double check that the angles look like they were equal. Um, CTM. MTB to MXB. MBXT are not cyclic, right? Why isn't TX equals BX in your diagram? It's a little distorted, but it's supposed to be equal. Man, really? TMN. MXN MTB equals MXN. Oh, I want to transfer. Ah, okay, you're right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you're right. I'm actually transferring the angles wrong. So angle MTB is equal to angle MXB, and when I was doing the halving, the angle I actually wanted was, so half angle TXB is TXN, and I actually want to transfer that to NXB. Meanwhile, MTB equals MTN equals, sorry, MTN equals angle MXN. There we go. So when we subtract, we get angle BXM, which is fixed. Okay, so I think that's a complete solution now. Basically what happened is we got rid of the point C because it sucked. I used T prime to get rid of it, and then I looked at T prime and was like, actually, I don't like T prime either, so I'm gonna kill it off. And then you got something that was looked. We moved the angles around until we got this, and then Twitch chat correctly points out this point N is real good. Once you add in the point N, the two angles you care about, you can chase them onto NXM and NXB, and then that will do it. Okay. Yeah, I believe you. I totally. Well, someone's saying that this looks like an easy complex bash. I don't. What am I missing? I don't actually think it looks that good because how do you get T? You have to like. There's two intersections T, so you always get a quadratic. That's the thing I'm scared of. Is like I agree A, B, M, X are fine. You fix those. X is moving. A, B are antipodes. Blah blah blah. What do you do about T? Is there something I'm not seeing? Why would it be a quadratic? So T is defined by Tx equals Bx and lying on the line My in here. So My is a line, that's fine. Which two lines? It's the intersection of two lines. Like, is T not the intersection of the circle centered at X with radius XB with a line? Yeah, because my problem is I think this there are 2 points T satisfying the condition. Oh my god. Perpendicular bisector of BT and the perpendicular to MX at M. Wait, we're trying to compute T though. Like X is um X lies on both those lines. But I mean, you want X to be your variable and not T, right? Like T is not a T is a really poor choice of variable, I think. Um The statement will be true for t prime. I agree. Like if you compute it, it'll work because it will always work. The problem is you have to. If there's two things, that basically means you will always get a quadratic. Like you cannot avoid the quadratic because if you got a linear equation, you would only get one intersection, which is not true. Um, but quadratics are just bad. Like in the sense that if you have a quadratic, it probably means that you have the square root that's not fun to deal with. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Um, I think I've beaten this don't do quadratics horse a bit to death. Okay, so we're gonna do the cards problem now, 2009 C1. Um, as I said, I felt a little bad using it because I solved part A immediately because it's the number decreases in binary. But let me let me take it a little slowly. So yeah, actually, I'll leave the geo up until I need it. So A is like we're gonna because of the way the problem is set up, is something about a block of 50. We'll say gold is 0 and black is 1. Or no, gold is 1 and black is 0. Okay, that's what I want. So in binary, number goes down. Done. So I assume part B is the more interesting part, but right now there's a 2009 and a 50, so it's not really letting me look at small cases at all. So it doesn't matter which is one. Yeah, I guess you can say it decreases or something. Block of 50. Yeah, 2009 and 50 are. I want to just replace. Yeah, we can use M and N. I hope it's doable for all M and N, but let's let. I'll let capital N be 2009. I'm going to use capital N so I don't trip over myself. This way, it's the large one, and let M equals 50 be the block length. Actually, I'll call it. I'll actually call it little b. I'm picking these variables because I'm on a stream and I don't want to like confuse myself which one's which. Although maybe this would be good to do even in the real world. Okay, let's do some cases that are easier to think about. Yeah, answers might be weird for all n comma b. It's the main thing I'm scared of, but I really can't work with 2009. I'm sorry, I just can't. So I'm gonna try the cases, and if nothing happens, that's fine. We didn't lose anything by trying them other than a bit of time. But I at least want to get a sense of what this problem is about. So it seems like it's easier if little b is small. For example, if b equals 1, then when first player wins if and only if n is odd. And actually, now that I'm looking at this, when the very far card gets flipped over, when the first card turns black, you will sort of end up in a smaller case, which makes me wonder whether I should actually do an even stronger induction where I say something about um, not only just the all gold, because right now the starting configuration is all gold, like all ones. But maybe that's not even the correct thing to think about. I'm not sure. Let me stick with all ones for a while, try to work out a few more of these cases, but if that doesn't pan out, I will start trying to do things a little more generally. So b equals 2, I already am not totally sure what to do. So for n equals, it seems it's a little recursive. For n equals 2, first player wins because they can just make a move. For n equals 3, the first player wins um, because he makes a, yeah. N equals 4, is that a second player win? Oh, no, this is getting very confusing. So first player either leaves 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, or 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay, okay. I bet I have to characterize them actually. It doesn't. I think starting from all ones is just not the right way to think about it anymore. Because even for a case this small, I'm already seeing that. Eh. even for a case this small, I can't do n equals 4, b equals 2 without really having to dig through these cases. So my feeling is that looking at the all ones is actually not that good. So what does that mean? What should I be looking at instead? Well, let me first see this case through all the way to the end because I'm curious what happens. So if 1110, then second player wins by reaching the all zero string. And if 0011, then the second player wins again. So the only interesting case is first player really should do 1001. Then second player must do 101. First player does 0, 0, 1, 1. There it does. Okay, so the second player actually just wins in this situation. Um, hmm. Yeah, I really think I'm going to need to characterize it for all of them. Initially, I was hoping it's sort of you might have this naive hope that oh maybe it's a very clean induction where I only need the parameters n comma b. But when I look at this n equals 4, b equals 2, even that case is like not short. It's like oh I have to actually go through these cases. Um, I will do n equals 5 by popular request of one person, and then try to see if I can get a sense what's going on. So for n equals 5, um, the first player can leave several. The first player can leave a few things. So 00111, which we already know how to do. That's the nice thing. 10011, 110, and then 1100. So we know if they leave 00111, second player wins, because we already characterized that string. If I do this, oh no, the cases are going really quickly. What is the condition that I want? Consider the cards mod 50. Oh, that's a good idea. All right, Twitch has a better idea than me, which is that if I consider the cards mod 50, then every move toggles exactly one of those cards. I figured 50 was yeah, that's good. So let's look at that idea in this smaller case we have. When we were doing n equals 4, um, and they're all ones. Yeah, consider the cards mod 50 looks like it's really good. I guess we would have seen this. How would we have seen this from our cases? I guess the hope might be you notice the first, third, and fifth bit. I think it's a lot easier to come up with this idea in the case little b equals 2. But consider cards mod 50, then um, whenever I make a valid move, what does it do? It toggles it. A second. Is n equals 5 a second player win? Okay, and then here second player wins by leaving 11100. Yeah, so you can start seeing the idea that was there. If I look at the um, bits of opposite parities. Yeah, so that's the idea. You take the cards mod 50. So idea, take cards mod 50. Then every move. Um so okay, nah. Man, I'm sad. I thought I was gonna characterize things, which I guess this is sort of like that, but every move, um let's see be a C be a bunch of cards which are spaced out every 50. Um Initially 40 such cards, all gold, and every move. Cards that are 0 mod 50. Wait, I'm a little confused by the suggestion that's in the Twitch chat right now. And the reason is I'm picking out certain cards. 40 plus 2k you want. 41, 40. But hmm, 50, 2000. Because if your argument that the argument that people are trying to make right now is that you always have a gold card left so you can make a move. But if it's the very last gold card, that's not true, right? Or am I a crazy person? I mean, I think the mod idea is very good, but I just don't see why it kills the problem outright. Um, because you're doesn't this mean the second always wins? No, the problem with this argument is that if the 2000th card, like card number 2000, is gold, that does not imply you can move because you need to make sure the um stuff at the end is still okay, which is why I'm like a little skeptical. I think the mod 50 idea is good because it gives us like a much better way to think about things, but I don't see immediately why it kills it. Um, Count from the right. Oh, never mind. Okay, yeah, sorry, I was counting the wrong way. So count from the right, take the 50th, 100th, 150th card. All right, sorry. If you do it from the right, it should be fine. There are 40 of these, I hope. If I can, yeah. And initially all one. Every move toggles parity. So second player. So it's another one of the situations where, oh my god, it's one of those games. We do have a characterization. The other bits don't matter. All right, that'll work. So in fact, second player wins no matter what. And I guess we were starting to see that, except I didn't finish enough cases. I guess if I had done like a couple more cases, we'd start seeing that it's a strategy-less game where no matter what someone does, they win. Anti-problem. Uh, it's like the plasticine problem. Yeah. This happens with a surprising frequency. It kind of annoys me, actually. Yeah, second player cannot lose. Um, cannot lose even if they tried. Too easy for a C1. I think it's fine for a C1. Part A is Can you make a unit on problems where one player can't lose no matter what? I'll consider it, but I feel like I would end up lumping it into the process unit anyways. What's the plasticine problem? It's a problem from Russia 2000 something that I was doing a while ago. Russia 2019 10.2 was a problem I was recently doing. Yeah, so that's what some people were referring to. Okay, we're doing great. One more problem lined up. It's also C1, so I hope it goes back. We might finish today. Much better than yesterday. Yeah, so this is why data is good. Like, if you did enough cases, I think you would eventually start to see that no matter what, like, the same player wins. Yeah, the B equals 2 case actually would have been very good if we pushed it, because you would start seeing the... It's much easier, I think, to have the idea to look at bits mod 2 than bits mod 50. Okay, so one more problem. And then after that, I'll open the floor to... Yeah, I think if we had kept pushing the b equals 2 case, we would have... If we, like, wrote out the entire state tree for, say, n equals 5, b equals 2, I think we would have seen the idea to take every other bit. Or also the fact that it's just, like, second player always wins. Like, there's, like, a natural grading. You would have gotten a grading on this set of configurations where something was happening mod 2. Okay, one more problem. All right, so this one's another enumeration. Something you want sequences of zeros and ones such that the number of things in each block goes up. I don't know if I call this an FE. I really don't. I don't think this qualifies as FE. Oh shoot. All right. I'm gonna save a copy of this image so I can look at it later. Okay, I can clear everything now. Okay, so yeah, the condition is really, really strong. So let's see what's going on. So I have... So to start things off, A1, A2, A3. Let me just do n equals 3 for concreteness so I don't trip over myself, but I imagine the small case won't matter very much. So right away I have like... You can see it's interested in blocks of n, and the number of bits is supposed to go up. So if I just take 0, n, n2n, and so on, you already see the number of bits here has to be 0. There has to be exactly a single one here, 2, and then all of these have to be 1. So whoop-de-doo, that's a great start. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, no, nah. Yeah, this condition is very strong. 1, 1, 1. Okay, I guess it's so zoomed out you guys can't see anything, so let's fix that. Yeah, so kind of right away, yeah, right away it's just like, okay, well, I guess that happened. There's always n blocks of offset things, right? Yeah. So Yeah, someone's saying that they think the... Honestly, I should have done n equals 4. I think n equals 3 is a little too small, but that's fine. It's possible there's only one sequence. I wouldn't be surprised. So anyways, A4 must be 0 because otherwise what happens? A5, A6, A7. Oh, okay. So the next thing we do is we look at this group and we look at this group. And the claim is that I can't have a 1 here because if so, I have 0, 0 here, and this has to be 1. So if I do that, that gives me an argument now that this one has to be 0. Okay, I wonder if I can keep... I don't think I can keep pushing that, but there's another shot. Similarly, I guess if I do the same argument from the other end, this one has to be a 1. Yeah, so again here, all my drawings, etc., are for n equals 3 because concreteness is good. Like when you're experimenting, I think it's usually better to not do things in terms of n and actually do like n equals 3 or n equals 4 if it's not too expensive. Because it's just much easier to see stuff when I can actually see everything. You don't need the abstraction this way. Okay, so people are hoping that the only way is if I put people are hoping the other ones are here and here. So let's see what goes wrong if I try to break that. So what if I had put a 1 here? Then this one must be 0. And then this one has to be 1 and 1 because this block and that block. Okay, so yeah, that looks like it's a unique one for n equals 3. And unfortunately, in this case, I think the n equals 3 actually is too small. 1, and then uh, this is bad because then this one is equal to that one. So yeah, so for n equals 3, okay, so that's good, except unfortunately, I think this case was actually so small that we didn't, um, we got some good information to start, but the general case will probably require us to do a little more work. So let's go and try n equals, I want to jump all the way to like n equals 5, pick some bigger numbers. That way I don't run into like tininess issues again. So for n equals 5, I should be drawing 4 dividers. Is that right? 0, 1, 2, no. Oh, jeez. Drawing is hard. Okay, and I know the counts that I want are 0, 1, 2. Honestly, I don't really need to draw the last one, but I'll do it anyways. And then we know that this one is 5 zeros, this one is 5 ones, and then the rest of the counts are given to us. Okay, so I want to see if I can kind of get the same arguments I did earlier to work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by considering this block. So again, what happens if I put a 1 here? Then I look at this block. This is all zeros, and this is at most 1. So that's not good. So by the same argument, I can say this first bit must be a 0. And by doing the same thing here, the last bit here has to be a 1. 5 consecutive zeros. Oh, I wonder where that problem is from. Uh, so I want to try to push this, and let's do it again. Let's look at this chunk. Oh, let me use a different color so I can differentiate them easily. Let's look at that chunk, and let's say, what if this is a 1? I claim something bad happens. Because what will happen is then this guy, this has to be all zeros, and now I have 2 ones here, and now this one is supposed to have 3 ones, which is not good. So that breaks, and by that logic, we can get that this first thing this has to be 0 as well. And I think if we repeat the same argument, so I then look at like this block, or if you want to expedite things, you can just say look at the first one. That's probably easier to think about. But I think that will prove very quickly that the first one has to be here. And by the same logic, let me use a different color actually. These are all deductions. 0, 0, 0, 1. And then similarly, this one has to be 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. So I'm doing it both back and forth, but I suspect I probably won't even need the back and forth. I think probably just the forward one will go. When you finish doing every ISL problem from 2000 to 2019, will you write them up? Ah, uh, that's a very, very big if. Like, the short answer is I don't think that will happen. But if I really do write up every problem from ISL 2000 to 2019, I'll post them, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Anyways, this argument's been working really well, so let's keep doing it. Mm, so let's again look at here. And what if this is 0? Well, then we know there's at most... oh, that's not as good. Sorry, what if this is a 1? That's what I meant to say. If this is a 1, then we know there's at most a single 1 here. And so there must be a 1 here. And at this point, I'm starting to run into the other thing. But you know what? I'm going to erase the backward stuff because it's actually making the number 5 too small. So forget all the backward stuff. It's actually making it harder for me to think. So again, you do this, and then you're like, okay, there's at most... Oh yeah, this already died. Okay, good, good, good. So this one should be a 0. And again, suppose the next bit is a 1. If I have a 1 here, I look here, then I look here. So there's at most a single 1 here, so both of these have to be 1s. So then there's at most a single 1. I thought I erased all of those. Go away backwards, guys. Then I look at the next guys, and then there's at most a single 1 here, and then there's only 2 spaces here, so now you run into a problem. And then this will again sort of just, I think, go all the way. So I think in this way, you find out this has to be 0, 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay, and now you can kind of see where this pattern is going. If you go by induction on each of the blocks, you go by induction on the blocks to get the blocks from left to right one by one, and then you also, within each block, you can kind of do an induction. And that should just do it. Yeah, you look at the first mismatch and then you count the ones and you get a break. And so this is the kind of problem that I'm like personally the best at doing. It's like you take a very specific thing, you figure out why it doesn't work for say n equals 3 or n equals 5, and as long as if you keep your eye on the general situation, then you can kind of just end up, it's almost like the problem tells you how to do it. You do the small cases, you get feedback, and then you say, okay, like, how do I just, what's happening in general? And then you just extrapolate. Yeah, this would be a fantastic question for the rigid unit. Watch out, the skiers will crash into you. They're a little bit behind me. I think I'll be okay. All right. So, um, maybe it doesn't really make sense for me to try to write out the details in the stream because it'll just overwhelm the screen. But at this point, I can take any questions. Am I blocking the slope? No, no, no. The camera's just way ahead of the slope. Like they're way behind me. Yeah, like I'm very convinced that this should work, and we could write it out if we wanted to. Yeah. Yeah, engineer's induction is just really useful for solving the problem. Like even though we all laugh at it because it's not a proof, like if you can figure out the pattern, then that's like 90% of the work. I can't hear the pretzel songs. Oh, I turned the volume down very low because I was worried it would overwhelm my voice, but I can make it a little louder. Really? Oh, people couldn't hear it at all. That's actually not great. I guess the song right now is especially quiet though, so shrug. All right, so that's it. We got 3 shortlist problems in 72 minutes, about 10 of which were me. I really just need to. I think for the geometry, I'm gonna actually use GeoGebra next time. I said this last time, and then I was like, I really, it's kind of cheating. But it's just drawing it on the iPad takes so long and is so confusing that it'll make me look a little smarter, which is fine. It's like, wow, GeoGebra OP. Um, the geo that we did, I'll scroll up so you can see it. It was 2007 G2. Okay, so that concludes the mathematical discussion for today, or the problem discussion, shortlist discussion, anyways. And as promised, I'll now open up the floor to arbitrary questions. Once I save this, export. All right. Why didn't you do many ISL 2007? I mean, I haven't done that much. I've done like about a third-ish, I would say, of the shortlist problems since around the year 2000. So, like, shrug. Please do one more geo. Well, the geo that got posted is one that I recognize. So, um, yeah, I put it on the complex bash unit, I think. Is usage MO the only way to qualify for MOP? From the US, yes. If you're an international, what happens is every year MOP invites 2 international students from the top K countries. Shrug. Checking out 2002 G4. I don't. Is that a problem I've done? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Yeah, I might try 2002 G4 next time. It looks like the problems all went well today, so I'm starting to get things. How does your problem database work? Um, it's a Python script. If you want to find it, you can actually. Let me put up the. So the URL you want is github.com/venhance, and this is the source code if you want it. It's a Python script where the problems are stored in the they're stored in flat text files and then they're indexed by a Python script. And if you want it, this is where you find it. What is 2002 G4? A problem I haven't done, but I'll add it. I might even do it next time for the whenever the next stream is. Oh man. People are playing Connect 4 in the chat. Alright. I'll let it slide. Which Otis units are currently in the works? The next thing I want to write for my materials is manipulative algebra, I think. So problems like IMO 2018 problem 2, which are really just algebraic manipulations that aren't FEs. Um, But I find it very hard to write that unit because I'm really bad at those kind of problems. So, will you ever add to the Otis excerpts? Will consider, but not high on my priority list. Um, yeah, so the reason I wrote the Otis excerpts was basically it used to be I was really strict with the deadlines for applying and stuff, and then I felt really bad about it. So it was supposed to be like if someone asked me, "Hey, I missed the deadline by like, a month. Can you take me?" I could be like, I don't want to open the deadline again, but here's enough material to last you until the next application cycle, and you can apply then. Um, so it's sort of at a length which I think it sort of does that, maybe not, but I'm also becoming increasingly generous with the deadlines. Like I reopened everything because of coronavirus now, and um, for next year, I've set an explicit system for accepting late applications ahead of time, so it'll be much less of a problem. Um, I don't know. I feel like if you want to play Connect 4, you should find a Connect 4 website and not my Twitch chat. Do you teach any online classes or just in person? Um, I teach only online stuff. At this point I basically only do my program on the basis that I take all my teaching bandwidth and put it into one thing. Um, sort of. I'm doing the Starry Starry Night with Idea Math. That's Zooming's thing. I can't make it this Thursday, but after that I should be there every Thursday. Um, yeah, honestly though, I definitely took too many people this year. I'm like very looking forward to my break. Not that it hasn't been fun, but it's just like it's more than I could actually handle well. I felt like every week towards the end of the week, I was just like not doing a good job teaching anymore because I was too tired. What are Otis apps like? You can find it on the website. Uh, it's so this is the special spring one. You know what? I'm gonna I don't need this yet, and we'll do this. Window capture, Firefox browser. I'll just crop it like heck. Okay, there we go. Um, yeah, so if you want to see the application, even the general application is just a set of problems. And the reason it's there is because it used to be I would do it just based on like what people reported, which wasn't very reliable, and then I would get some people who like got in and then realized that it was just too hard. And I don't know. This is actually a very demoralizing experience. Like I don't care that much on my end, but for the student, it's actually a really bad experience to like say, "Hey, I have to drop this program because it's just too hard." Um, so the quote unquote application really is more for the student's sake than mine at this point. It's just like, this is what you're getting yourself into. Please make sure you're ready for it. And if they can do the problems, then they're ready for it. So that's all. Um, what is it like to decide? Oh, um, it's rough. I don't like being the person that has to judge, but I mean, I have to be the one to do it. Yeah, it's to make sure the student is ready. Like you like there are people who don't realize that it's an Olympiad program. Is a really harsh way of putting it. Like, yeah. Oh, how does readmission work? You just apply again. You don't have to do the problems, and then I'll probably take it. It's for me the thing that's really bandwidth limited is the lectures. Like, I have about 30 plus, a little more than 30 people that I do like the biweekly lectures with, which is honestly, I think too much. I think I was too greedy. But the correspondence, I just try to take everyone who I think is ready, basically. Like at some point I might have to cap it, but I'm at like 100, more than, well over 100 actually at this point, like 120 maybe. And I still, it's starting to affect my ability to do anything else, but it's not like intolerable yet. So, is the number of students ready greater than? Definitely greater than. Yeah, like, especially with, if you factor in the internationals, it's definitely greater than. Um, the good news is that like a student, like most of the people that would get into this are good students who would do well anyways. Like I think people have this conception that like I make my students good, and I'm pretty sure this is not true. I'm pretty sure I like get students who are already good and like would just kind of do well no matter what. 77 points out of 120s. I mean, I don't know where you're getting that number from because I didn't assign a score to the submissions. But if you solved 11 problems and then multiply by 7 again, what's the point? Didn't that question show up already? Uh, well, I don't think that's true. Because I think the leading term is always just like how enthusiastic and how well you prepare and some, I don't know. You didn't give, no, I didn't score the submissions. I don't have time to grade all 100 submissions even if I wanted to. I kind of look at it to make sure that it looks like you know what you're doing, and that's basically what happens. Um, there is a thing I do look for, which is like cleanliness of solutions. Like in my experience, the people who get more out of Otis are the ones who do a better, cleaner job with the write-up. Are the applications closed? Depends on which one. So there's two things which are happening right now. One is that I have this special session, which is that if your school is closed and you have nothing to do for the next 8 weeks, you can join late, and then yeah, that application is still open and there's no deadline. It's just whenever you finish it, you can start, and the program runs till the end of May. Um, the application for fall 2020 is open and will remain open until August. Yeah. Um, Bashing on the app isn't good. I don't necessarily mean like mathematically clean. I mean like I actually mean stylistically clean, which is kind of which is surprising. It's not that surprising actually, but there's some people who, when I look at their solution, like I immediately know it's correct. I can see where the ideas are and I can see what they're trying to do. And then there's other scripts where I have to like really fight with it. Like I have to like read it line by line and like decipher a bunch of things, and it's really hard for me. And my experience is that even if the solutions are both correct, the person who wrote the solutions up better tends to get more out of the program. Um, how come mine has comments? It depends on how brief you mean by brief. I mean, even so, I'll tell you this: for the actual Otis, like during the school year, when people submit problem sets, um, I definitely spend less than 5 minutes reading each one. I tell people this upfront. Like I do not check your problem sets during the school year line by line because I just simply don't have the time or bandwidth. I will scroll through it for like 5 minutes to make sure it looks reasonable. But I will still catch solutions that are wrong because I know all the problems so well. Like if the solution looks different from what I'm used to seeing because I've seen like many submissions before and I actually did the problem, then I can it sets off an alarm, and I typically that's where I can find the wrong solutions. So yeah. How much does Otis cost? It's the option with no video lectures is 240 per semester. It's on the website. Um, are you saying math is not Bash is not math clean? Uh, it is often not clean, but can be clean. I mean, that's the whole point of my complex version of complex numbers. Whenever I teach complex numbers, I put a page limit on the students because if they go over the page limit, it means they didn't set it up correctly. What is your Cove ID situation like? I am fine. So I live off campus now. I'm a grad student, and I'm just kind of chilling. uh, for me, honestly, the biggest thing that's changed is that Amazon Prime is kind of dying. But otherwise, I'm basically not affected. So I got very lucky with the way my life was set up. The undergrads did not have a good time. They were basically kicked out of their dorm on like a week's notice. Um, all right. What else? How often does someone come up with a new solution? It depends on the problem. There's certain problems for which, like, say the very rich geometry problems, for example, people will come up with all sorts of stuff. That's sort of the problem where it's very natural to come up with multiple things. Um, there's other problems for which it's more closed, uh, and it's very hard to come up with. Maybe the better question is how often do I see a solution which I'm surprised to see, and then I add it to like as an old solution because I think it's better than what I have. Um, I think this happens somewhat often. I'm trying to put a number on it, but I'm having a hard time doing so. Um, it definitely happens at least once per month that when I'm scrolling to the submission, I see a solution that looks different, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, this is actually better than what I had. Definitely at least once a month. I would say less than once a week. I'm that excited, just because I there's enough people walking doing the same problems that eventually the clean solutions get found. Some version of the infinite monkey theorem. Yeah, infinite Otis student theorem. Do you prefer high-tech geo or low-tech geo? Um, I don't know if I have a preference. I think it's more based on the problem. Yeah. Do you know when some student gives an alternate solution to a practice test problem? Rarely. So the practice tests I actually outsource the grading because otherwise I can't do it myself. And yeah, so only when I grade the problem myself will I see the alternate solutions. I usually don't find out. Can we talk about your solution? I think email me about that. I don't want to spoil the problems for people. Um, how can one know if you're ready for Otis? It's if you can do the app problems. Like if you're, the point of the application is not even to see what you already know. It's like it's almost can you learn the material if you haven't seen it. Oh, my screen blurred. What's name was due already? So some people will do it for practice anyways, even after the deadline. For example, some people literally just joined the program, so yeah. But back to what I was saying, like in the application, like I say, you know, the geo is like here's the geo. It covers 1 through 3 of the book, and the task is can you like read the book and then figure out enough to be able to do like the standard problems. Because that's sort of what you have to do when you take Otis without the lectures. You have the materials, and then there's yeah, you can also have the book read already. But if you already read the book, I mean that's sort of the point. I don't care whether you do it like at the time of the app or like before, but the point is can you like read something that I wrote and learn from it? Because if, for example, someone really doesn't like my writing style, like they shouldn't take my program. Like the program is based around here's stuff that I gave you and you work on it. But you know, yeah, that's why all this stuff is like it's geo and inequalities because those are the ones that I think are the most straightforward to learn. Like if you read the chapters and understand them well, then you should, in principle, be able to do the app problems. So that's sort of the thing I use as a litmus test. What is your most important open problem? What does most important mean? I can tell you which open problem I think is the coolest, which probably be um, Riemann hypothesis. Yeah, since I'm interested in number theory, the L function stuff is, I think, the most relevant to what I'm looking on. But that's just a personal preference. I don't have a good reason for it. It's just this is the one I like. You developed a habit of skipping the walkthroughs. I mean that's fine. You don't have to do them. Like use what's do whatever's useful for you. Hardest, yes. Sometimes sometimes the problems are so hard that I make them a walkthrough because I don't think it's reasonable to work with them as a piece of problem. Um, yeah, I mean, do whatever works for you. It's your studying. Like I designed this program intentionally to give the students a larger amount of autonomy. Why is solving Riemann hypothesis so difficult? I don't know what you want me to say. Like, the zeta function is complicated. Um, it's a kind of awkward stalemate, I think, um with L functions in general. It's like we have these things like, oh, we are able to construct these functions indirectly that such that their zeros tell us everything we want to know about the universe, but we can't figure out, yeah, we can't figure out how to actually find the zeros. It's an issue. Yeah, so in Otis, yes, 2359 is supposed to be one more than powers of 2. 1 plus 2 to the e. Yeah. I'm actually thinking of adding some 17-point problems to signal that you should not work on the problem. Because there's a couple of problems I put in the thing just to say, just as like 9 points that I don't want people to work on, and I don't think I've been doing and communicating that properly. Especially in the monsters FE, there's a couple problems. The hardest version of monsters FE, there's a bunch of problems at the end which are completely unreasonable. And I kind of put them there just to say these are problems that are not reasonable, but then sometimes people actually try to do them. Why would I add problems you don't want people to work on? Yeah, I think it's a sentiment of like, this is a problem that does have an elementary solution, but I don't know, is not worth your time. Or something. Anyways, for irreducible polynomial, how does Putnam compare to IMO 36? I think on average the IMO ones are harder. Although, I mean, really, really average. There's no 17-point problems yet, but I'm thinking of making certain problems worth 17 because I want to signal you should not work on these problems because they're not reasonable. Like there's certain problems which I think are reasonable but difficult, and I've been making those 9, but I've also been making the unreasonable ones worth 9. So it's not great. Yeah, but about the Putnam thing, it's a different style, I would say. I would say Putnam specifically tries to keep the length of their solutions like extremely short because of the way their contest is formatted. Like they're more like trick. No, I wouldn't say trick, but they're often shorter. Whereas if on IMO or USMO, it's just much more okay for there to be a problem that takes a while to do. It's sort of, I feel like the span of stuff you can do is bigger. Like there's a bigger space of things. Also, I think the Putnam actually has. So for Putnam, you don't have Euclidean geo, but you have. Well, okay, this year there was actually Euclidean geo. Normally you don't have Euclidean geo, but you have a bit of calculus. I would say the Olympiad Canon is still bigger. Like There's FE in EQ, there's some number theory stuff, and so on. Um, no, I think APMO 2019 problem 4 is definitely not a 17 point. That problem is reasonable. Um, when is APMO? I don't know when they'll put it out. Um, why is MIT so good at Putnam? Because they admit all the strong students? 257 point problems. Do you enjoy Putnam on average? I think they're okay. I think the average IMO problem is better than the average Putnam problem, but like the best Putnam problems are still good. Um, yeah. Um, yeah. I'll be more specific. I think on the Putnam, like about half the problems I think are like reasonable quality in the sense that I'd be like, if I saw it on the USMO, I'd be like, yeah, that feels about right. And then half of them are just boring. Like about half the Putnam problems I just think are like, I don't really see the point of this. So it's a little weird. It's like I kind of throw away half of them, and the half that's left over I think is like about comparable to Olympiad quality. Oh my god, the 3,860. That was comedic. Yeah, why do all the math contest people go to MIT now? Um, it's tricky. So I don't have a complete picture, but I think there are definitely factors. One is that I think the MOP community is more interconnected than it was. I think Facebook group chat was. You might not believe me when I say this. When I was a student at MOP, Facebook group chats were not a thing. Like, if I wanted to spam random stuff to my MOP kit, to like my MOP 2011 friends, even back in the day, the way you did it was you sent an email to the mailing list. It wasn't until MOP 2013 or 2014 that you started having these messenger group chats. And in the messenger group chats, people would kind of, horse around and say stuff. But it sort of helps keeps the people more connected. And if MOP is more connected and a lot of the kids are already going to MIT, then that will cause more of them to go to MIT. Um, other things is that Chris PD exists. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, I think MIT is like one of the things it does really well is to come off as not evil. Like if you look at every other top college admissions office, like people all hate them, but people don't hate MIT because they try to like come across as reasonable people, which I think they are. Like MIT admissions, the only thing that it's the only place that tells you explicitly, please just do what you want. That's what we're interested in. Like you never see something on a Harvard website about like how to get into Harvard, but MIT just tells you straight like this is actually we really care that you follow your passions. And then people don't believe them anyways because like college admissions, but they're at least very I think they're yeah, like compared to most other colleges, MIT is so transparent, and I think that's part of what gives them a really good reputation. Yeah, also, I think MIT just does a lot of things better in this direction than other schools. Yeah, OCW is real good. No, I'm not making problems with however many points that is. Nope, nope, not doing it. Is hybrid geo the default combo unit? Yes. Solve 6 problems to complete a. If you want to do that, you can do the Duluth unit where the goal for the unit is 1 point. Like you solve any other problems, that's the end of the unit. Yeah, that's because every problem on that unit is like a paper I wrote. Um, how many people typically? Not very many. It's not very popular, I think. I think the only reason you do it is if you're curious what the content of my papers is, then you can like do that unit and get cleaned up statements of the problems. Yeah, it can be fun. I just think it's kind of like, I don't know. It's a little goofy. It's just there, so it's like if you're curious what my undergrad research was about, you can find out by redoing my results. Yeah. Goofy units are good in moderation. That's fair. There's a PDF of your book online. What will you do about it? Probably nothing. Um, I don't mind. I really don't care. I don't make very much money from the book anyways, and I would rather like someone get access to the book than for me to be able to like eat one more hot dog. Yeah, and I just say it's my publisher's problem. Like my publisher can deal with it. I don't. I'm flattered, and I don't have the bandwidth to deal with it anyways. No, that was abrupt. What are the most serious units? Um, Equality, global, local, rich. Oh, that is applying to. Never mind. That's a different question. Um, the ones that I think everyone should do are equality and like that's actually the main one. Which ones apply to the most problems? I'm not sure. That that that's. It was. What are some math books do you recommend outside of Math Olympiad? Um, if you're talking about like higher math, like say if you're interested in learning abstract and real analysis, I have a collection of I have a few pointers on my website of things that I like, but also the napkin was sort of meant to yeah, the napkin was sort of meant to answer that question too. If you don't like the napkin itself, which is reasonable because it's so surface level, you can look through the reference list in the napkin where I mostly list the things that I use to make it. And those are typically texts that I like. Are these all Otis students talking? There are a lot of Otis students here. Not literally everyone, but I think it's quite a few Otis people. Because the problem is I don't. AOPS told me I'm not allowed to advertise my Twitch stream in the forum, so the best I can do is post on the Evan Chen Facebook and post in the Otis group. So there'll be a lot of Otis, which is fine because they won't make fun of me as much when I mess up. Uh, how much would Riemann hypothesis be rated? Not rateable. Yeah, it's not. I think if you look at my description of the scale, there's explicitly says problems that certain problems are just considered not rateable, and RH would definitely be one of them. Is American Geo your favorite handout? It's up there, but it's probably not my absolute favorite. I see you have Pew questions on analysis. I put one problem from Pew that I liked. Yeah. How can I use that code on your GitHub to make a problem database? You need Python and a command line. And I think there should be some README. Um, I don't know. It's hard for me to describe over stream. You'd want to download it and try it, and then if you run into issues, send me an email and I'll try to help you debug it. Or I guess other people here might help you too. Some of them probably have it working. Oh, I messed up in the. Okay, I will fix that at some point. maybe now. What is that example you're referring to? 1.2 C should be T. Oh, okay, found it. Thank you. I'll fix that. Yeah, so it's possible that I got baited into just making more office hours because it seems like um well, it is. I think it's fine because part of the nice thing is that this will also get recorded and uploaded onto the Twitch website, and I'll probably also, since I have a YouTube video because I decided to be silly and film myself um doing a K-pop dance. Conveniently, I have a YouTube channel, so I guess I'll probably upload that there too. So there will be some replay value later on. Um, People can watch me repeatedly misread a geo problem. Okay, what websites, programs do you think everyone should use? I don't know if I other websites. I'm not sure if there's anything to say other than AOPS, just because they have all the problems. Like if you um, problems should be yeah. If you want for problems, that's where you go. Um, I think LaTeX is good if you're typesetting stuff, but you don't have to typeset stuff. If you want to go old-fashioned and have a notebook, that's probably fine as well. Like that kind of detail doesn't really matter that much, I think. I wouldn't want to say I think everyone should use LaTeX in my database. Um, I should change the sample handout. Okay, I'll add that to my to-do list. Twitch will take down the video after like 2 months. Yes, so at some point I really should download it. I think I actually only get like 2 weeks because I'm not paying Twitch anything. So yeah, at some point I'll upload it to YouTube so it doesn't get deleted. California schools, I'm not. I would be surprised if they weren't shut down until the end of the year, honestly. But I'm not in California, so. All right, there was some other question that was good and I forgot what it was. Oh, how do you read math research papers? Um, it depends on what you want to read them for. If you're trying to use them, you usually don't have to read that much. You read the introduction to get a sense of what it's about, and then try to like grab whatever theorem and use it as a black box. If you want to actually understand the results, then that's a very different matter. I think you just have to actually work through it though. Like you like work through the paper with pens, work through the paper with like pencil and blank paper because I think it's it's a lot like reading solutions to a problem, except they're much longer and the parts that mm, something yeah. I think a lot of the advice I wrote in on reading solutions applies to papers as well. Um, yeah, and particular papers are often like very dense. Like, how would you say difficult reading solutions changes by length? Um, Super linearly, for sure. I don't know if n squared. I think probably at least n squared. It might be exponential might be stretching it, but I think at least n squared. Do you think doing contest math would be beneficial for undergrads with limited exposure to it before university? Um, I think to some extent, yes. In that case, if you're in university, I think there's some things you're not really interested in at that point. For example, you're not interested in the Euclidean geo content in particular, and you're not necessarily interested in speed. But you can pick up some things which are very valuable about just how to think about problem solving in general. Um, so yeah, in particular, I would say that honestly, I think math Olympiads do a better job at teaching people how to read and write proofs than like courses that are called proof writing on as a very broad average, at least for the target audience. Um, like if you were a person that would have enjoyed let me say this, if you're a person that would have enjoyed math Olympiads, then you'll probably actually learn proofs better from kind of working through some easy Olympiad problems than taking a proof-based course. That's actually okay. Maybe I shouldn't have said that on stream. Uh, I'm not sure how strongly I believe that. Well, I'm not sure about that, but I think I don't know. Uh, I am a little I'm pretty lukewarm in general towards courses that are marketed as proof writing in particular. I don't know if I don't agree with a lot of them. I agree with some of them, but there's a lot I don't agree with the way they do things. Yeah. Do AOPS classes regularly update their problems? I think they do update them. I don't know what fraction of them get updated. So I know that every year probably some problems get changed, but I don't know if it's like they overhaul a lot of stuff or less. College math versus Olympiad, which is more fun? I think they're fun in different ways, but if you force me to pick one, I would pick the Olympiad stuff. Um, and part of the reason is I just enjoy feeling like I have some semblance of what I'm doing um, more. What I mean by this is if you look on my website on the page that has the geometry book, um, I wrote this very silly thing called the trolley where I imagine what a Euclidean geo would look like if it was taught at a typical college and then wrote it up. And that's how I feel whenever I'm learning higher math. Like on the one hand, the material is cool. On the other hand, I really feel like I'm not learning it completely. Um, like the amount of depth is so different from what I used to because I think Math Olympiads really emphasized having like you take the set of elementary math and you learn it like extremely well. And college math is not about that. Are you involved in ALPS beyond being a moderator? Sometimes I teach a class or two or like am a guest, but mostly not really right now. If you are a correspondence student for Otis, are walkthroughs helpful? Yes, I wrote them for you. Um, if it was if you were supposed to go with an instructor, then I wouldn't have needed to write the walkthroughs. So the reason I wrote the walkthroughs in the first place was because at some point I realized I couldn't give lectures to everyone. So the walkthroughs are supposed to emulate the lecture, actually. How useful is doing Euclidean Geo for math later on? Relative to what? Like, I mean, you I would say that you get the same general benefits as the rest of Math Olympiads, like learning how to solve problems, learning how to internalize material. Obviously, the subject matter itself, that particular subject, is not that useful. I do think there's something to be said where I think learning um, a field of math is more like learning Euclidean geo than other Olympiad topics, because Euclidean geo is the one that has the most, it's internally the most connected, and it has the most sort of like depth. I'm not sure depth is the right word actually, but it is the most material. Like you learn eventually that some things are standard and then some things are. Also, there's more than one way to solve problems, and especially for geo. So I think if you do geo, the upside is that it's actually closer to learning math later on. The downside is that this particular subject matter is probably less useful. What are similar differences between MO, undergrad, grad? I'm not going to comment on grad because I don't really know what I'm doing. I would say undergrad and MO are, I don't know, man. I feel like it's sort of what I said before. Math Olympiads is about like learning a set of things like very well and then learning how to like solve problems kind of using those tools. And undergrad math is basically like you go in and you're like, wow, I really know absolutely nothing. and then in however many years you have, you scramble to like learn as many buzzwords as you can. Yeah. Like if you thought learning Euclidean geo was bad because there's too much stuff, wait till you get to college. Does correspondence for Otis include graded Olympiads? Yes, although not for the special spring session because for the coronavirus spring session, the Olympiads all ended already. The due date was today. Um, does homework get graded? No. I looked through the submission to sanity check it. As I said, if you do something egregiously wrong, I'll probably notice. If you like make a sign error, I won't notice. But I at least look at it to make sure it looks sane. Um, but other than that, you kind of have to compare it to the solutions yourself. Which college math books are written similarly to EGMO? I can't think of any. I don't think there's that many things dedicated to solving problems, and I don't even think there's that many math textbooks which are interested in explaining intuition. Like that's somehow just not about that. Um, I actually think with higher math, you have to sort of learn to just like roll with it at some points. Like sometimes you'll see something and uh you don't get it initially at first, but you just kind of have to like black box it and then move on, and then later on, as you see more stuff, it'll gradually make more sense. It's not like Olympiads where I think for contest math you really can just master topics one after another, and EGMO is sort of like designed to do that for geo. But I think for higher math this is not feasible. If you do that, you will actually take too long to get anywhere. Um, I think a lot of higher math is knowing some things vaguely and then just having to roll with it. Unless you do combinatorics, and even then, still has sort of like that. Why have the number of Otis units I can see been increasing? Email me about that. I think that's probably the specific thing. Algebra will help with college math more. I don't know about that. I feel like they all help about the same because the thing you're gaining is maturity and proof experience, which, by the way, proof experience in college is so nice. Like, it's so nice to be able to read and write proofs because it's classes that don't can't assume their students can read and write proofs are necessarily artificial in ways. Like if you don't have a notion of what it means to like know something is true, then the class has to kind of be like teaching the class becomes more about like running a performance than actually doing the math. It's just if you don't have proofs, like what are you going to do with anything? Um, but once you get to the proofs classes where proofs are assumed, then you can really start running, right? It's almost the same for Olympiads too, honestly. Like the set of things I can put on the AME is limited by the fact that the answer has to be 3 digits. And similarly in college, if you take a class that isn't proof, that doesn't assume proofs, it will probably be something like calculus BC. Like you kind of just do some derivatives, and then when someone asks, well, why is 0 times infinity not 0? You kind of just shrug and you're like, I don't know. Like, don't worry about it. Yeah, like it's just it's a really awkward situation to be in, which is why any math major, like the first thing they're supposed to do is like figure out what it means to prove something, because you really can't function without some concept of what it means to know something. How much do you value style and Otis submissions? Depends on what you mean by value. Like I will read it either way, but I think you learn more by doing it well. I'll just say that. So it's up to you. What kind of people do you consider genius? I'm trying to give an answer that's not circular, and I can't think of one. Can I submit my PO tomorrow? Okay, so re-practice Olympiads. I told the graders they can start grading tomorrow. If you get your paper in before the people start reading, it'll be fine. If not, cross your fingers. They don't have to read it. I can't make them. Um, Yeah. It's by problem. So if you submit it at like noon tomorrow, like probably at most one person will have started reading. Um, you might go, yeah, it's just up to, it depends on whether the graders are feeling ambitious. Um, can you submit matrix problems to the Amy? I certainly am capable of submitting problems. I don't know if they'll make it. Please, no. Uh, yeah. How many people are there grading? Like six. Hey, the music stopped. I just know. Why did the music stop? What do I think about the ABC conjecture? I think it'll be real cool if it was solved, and I have no idea what the inter-Teichmüller theory is. Yeah, I don't know enough to have any opinion on whether the claimed proof is correct. Will you resume spring lectures at some point this semester? Honestly, probably not. I think I'll probably stick with the office hours and the Twitch stream, honestly. Um, I just really need the break. I definitely burned myself out. You guys are boxed into August? Huh. Yeah. I really hope the coronavirus doesn't last that long. That sounds quite bad. INJ. Oh, hopefully don't jinx it. Yeah. All right. Thanks for showing. Yeah. Hope you had fun, or at least, yeah. Okay. If you stream 7 times a month, will you apply for Twitch affiliate? Look, I'll think of. I haven't looked at any of the affiliate or partner things because I am not even sure if I'll stream that much. But yeah, if I end up streaming a lot, I will look into the bigger options. Are you procrastinating your schoolwork or Twitch streams? I mean, yes. Even Otis is. It's sort of like that. Smart because people tend to improve quickly at math competitions. It's more because or the skill ceiling. I would say it's the competitions more than the ceiling. Um, in particular, I'm not totally convinced the skill ceiling is a thing. But I will say I think like competitions are. I always say I think math competitions don't measure talent; they create it. I think like the way it's we have a setup where people are you have an AMC for starting, and then after you can clear the AMC, you have an AME, and then after that you have like JMO, USMO, etc. Um, and the point is like we designed this thing so that you're always being fed problems that are just right above your difficulty level. It's like a level up system. Um, and if you know anything from playing video games, level up systems work really well. AMC is quite hard for initial round. Yeah, now it is. It wasn't this hard 10 years ago. I think there's a very big consensus that the entry round has become too difficult. Um, but I'm not on the AMC 1012 board, so shrug. Are you procrastinating on your schoolwork with replying to Otis emails? To some extent. I think there's enough Otis emails now that I can't call it procrastination anymore. I'm starting to procrastinate on the Otis emails too. Um, so, do you believe in skill ceiling? Not especially. Although I don't have an opinion on it, I think. I don't see it's obvious that it should or shouldn't exist. Yeah, it is unfortunate that you can, yeah. And that's the problem with living in the US. It's so big that we can't offer the National Olympiad for more than like 500 people. Go to a different country. You can reach the proof stage much quicker. Yeah, Canada's system is quite nice. Vatican. But yeah, like the reason that math contests can be so effective, I think, is because you receive like immediate, accurate feedback on your ability level. Like you don't delude yourself into thinking you're much better than you actually are usually, because you'll quickly find out. Uh, is it possible that Amy will actually start involving real OLE content 11 through 15? Is that not already happening? I mean, I got a lifting the exponent problem on the Amy in 12. Yeah. Toy applications of LT. uh, I think it's definitely possible. That's definitely on the table. India's second round is not computational. Yeah, that's really good. See, we have this problem in the US. Like, it should be that the case that we have, like, what would be really cool is every state had their own, like, not even every state. Like, you could even use the same problems, but there's, like, a local grading site for every state. Like, something like India does, right? Like, India is I don't know if India is graded by a central place, but my impression was that it wasn't. At least the second round. It's a regional Olympiad. Yeah, but the US can't do this because we literally, like, I don't think we have enough people who are both interested in helping math contests and capable of reading proofs. Literally, I think it just wouldn't work in the US because we don't have the enough like people per state, which is extremely embarrassing to say the least. Yeah, I imagine the grading isn't perfect, but I think the perfect is the enemy of the good. Like imagine suppose we had like if the Amy was like had some proof component, right? Like even if the grading was like sort of noisy, like say Putnam grading was, it still would be correlated enough that the people that deserve to make it would still kind of make it. Um, who would grade for Wyoming? Yeah. If you were on MC states. Yeah, people complain about the grading for the USMO too. Even though I think we're much better than the Putnam, but RMO you can't use LT or complex batch. Oh, they restrict methods. Yeah, that's a little weird. I'm not that surprised to see the lifting. I just feel like Because the thing is, like that, when the numbers are explicitly given to you, you can actually just do it with binomial theorem anyways. So, yeah. Berry bash on RMO. I wonder if they take that. Yeah. Any particular opinion on state, local, and nets? Yeah. Like I think in an ideal world, I would rather. I would be okay with like the grading being a little noisy if it meant we could get proofs out earlier. Because I think it really hurts the US that we only like proofs are so late in the development process. But it's unclear to me whether we could even have adequate grading, much less like good grading. It just like you look at a typical US high school, how many of the teachers there know what it means to prove something, right? Like what do you think about linearity of power of a point? It seems like a nice technique. I don't know enough about it to have much of an opinion on it, but I've seen it around a few times. Do I have an Otis unit about tricks like linearity? No. All the graders are not necessarily locals. Yeah, that's good. Um, yeah. The other thing is the MAA is pretty conservative. Like it takes because the program is so old and so established. It's actually harder for us to um, change things. Like there's a pretty if I wanted to propose a change, like there's a lot of review that needs to happen. Can you make an Otis unit on standard lemmas in NT? I feel like that's sort of the purpose of the exp NT and heavy NT unit. To mock IMO. That particular result is not a standard result, I think, and it's in the arid unit. Graders are just not comfortable with them. Yeah, I mean, I imagine the same thing would happen in the U.S. Um, the RMO for my state was checked by my regular school's math teachers. Yeah, like what if we could do that in the U.S.? Like what if the U.S. had high school teachers that could read a proof? We'd just be so it just sounds like heaven. I've had people tell me that other countries do have that property that people at least have some idea of what it means to explain something. Because it sort of feeds into itself. Like, if your elementary school teachers know what a proof is, then the people that become elementary school teachers in the next generation will also have some idea what it means to prove something. Statement reason tables. Oh my god. I actually, something I want to do when I'm really bored one day is to take like a USIMO problem and write its USIMO Geo and then write its solution in 2-column format just for kicks and see what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, if you need a lot of graders, necessarily it will. I think the grading will not be as good as say USIMO, but again, the perfect is the enemy of the good. Like, um, so I think 3D Geo will be back to IMO. Not, I'd be surprised if it happens soon. The IMO is also quite conservative. It doesn't change things quickly. That said, yeah, I'm not sure. What's a 2-column proof? Oh yes, I forgot that only the US does that thing. Yeah, so a 2-column proof is this thing in the US where someone decided they wanted to have geo classes have proofs, but I mean, the way they did it is they have 2 columns, and then you have on the left you write a statement, and on the right you write a reason, and it's you kind of start the year. it's not so much the format is bad, but the content that's put in it is really bad. Like typically you start the year by proving something like all right angles are congruent or something, and then they there you go. Why is a 90-degree angle right? Uh, yeah. Um, yeah. The problem is that they make you do stuff like this that kind of I think really messes with your intuition for what a proof is because I mean they're basically telling you that it's not obvious that if m is the midpoint, then am equals mb, and you need to prove it. And if you tell someone who doesn't know what a proof is this, then they're just gonna be like, "What the heck? Okay." And then like you do this to them for a semester. Do you think they're gonna learn what a proof is? Yeah. Anyways, the turtle posted an actual proof problem that uses. Oh, I gotta find that. No, please do not submit to me in two-column proofs. I don't want to read those. Yeah, like I think so much of what makes proof writing difficult, even for the US like contest students, is that people kind of get the impression that it's supposed to be hard. And if you think it's supposed to be hard, then it's harder to learn because yeah. 3D Berry. There's a Russian 2010 problem about 3D Berry. It's like you have a tetrahedron and you want the incenters of the faces to not be coplanar. Yeah. 3D is similar to 2D. Reference tetrahedron. Yeah, that problem is fun. How old is Tev Cole? I don't know. I don't even know what his real name is. You should write a handout on purely practicing how to guess which points are collinear and consecutive. So, I actually had an idea for a project called Olympia GeoGuessr where it gives you a diagram and you have to click all the collinear points and all the consecutive points. Yeah, it's called a GeoGuessr. And I um, just never got around to finishing it. Like, the source code is actually all there. All I have to do is make the diagrams for it. But I just keep putting it off because it's really boring to make the diagrams. Maybe I should do that once I'm on my break, which is in like a couple of weeks. Do high schools elsewhere teach proof writing? I don't know. Sasha Rudenko, the Ukrainian guy that was our deputy, either last the year before, so in 2018, says that in Ukraine, like even the elementary school teachers have a understanding of what it means to explain something. And I just listened to this like, oh, that sounds like heaven. I don't know about other countries, but I think the U.S. is uniquely. The two-column proof thing is like in China's college entrance exams, you are asked to do proofs. Well, I guess that means China will learn how to write the proofs. Imagine if on the SAT you had to write a legitimate proof. People would learn very quickly. Yeah, Gaokao. Oh my god. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh wow, I really like. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So someone posted the link in chat. This is beautiful. I'm very point style. Yeah, Holden always draws a turtle at the end of his stuff. Oh shoot, I wasn't supposed to say his name. Ugh, dang it. Uh, that was a mistake. I'm sorry. Uh, oops. At least I didn't say his last name. I drew on my IMO paper. I in my on day one of the IMO, um, I had time left over, and I didn't want to walk out early because I thought it would be really mean to the people around me. But I was done early, so I took a break by drawing some art on my paper, and then I yeah, I went from there. I did actually check my work. I didn't lose any points. So, oh no. Oh, now poor CJ. How do I choose whether to delete a flame war or just lock it? It sort of depends. I generally prefer to lock stuff rather than delete for for two reasons. One is that I don't like censorship. I think if I just delete stuff, people can say, "Well, you're just deleting things. How do we know what you're deleting?" So I kind of prefer to lock it. So for that reason, um, the other is that I think I like to set examples of what not to do. So if I lock a thread and say this is like an example of what you should not post, I'm hoping that when people see that, they'll know to not do stuff like that. Um, that said, sometimes I'll just delete it anyways if I think it's like one, it's obvious that you shouldn't be doing that, and two, it reflects badly on the community. I think if it's like if someone reading it's like, wow, the people on here are like just not good people because of a thread like that, then I'll often just delete it. Yeah, but this is my own. This is not like policy or anything. This is what I personally do, but I don't. I honestly never got guidelines for moderating. The reason I became a moderator was back around 2013. I wanted to help manage the contest section, um, and I needed to be able to edit past posts. So I asked them to be a mod, and they're like, "Oh, sure, okay," because by that point I had a lot of good contributions, and they never took it away from me. So I guess I'm still a mod and help them clean stuff up. So it was an accident. I wasn't originally trying to be a mod. It's just I needed it to edit the contest section, and then it kind of stuck around. Yeah. Oh, do I want some diagrams for GeoGuessr? Yeah, actually. So I actually tried to do this. I was like, I have this code all set, and all I need is someone to like draw some diagrams for me, but I'm too lazy to do it. So I made a post on AOPS being like, hey, if anyone wants to help me draw some diagrams, here's how you can do it. And no one did it, so it still hasn't been done. Um, but if you want to draw them for me, I'll take them. uh, What are some of the craziest flame wars? I don't remember and I don't care to, honestly. It's Yeah, honestly, like I'm usually pretty proud of the math contest community, but moderating CNP is like the time where I'm most like, ugh, eh. Yeah, somehow contests and programs, I don't know. Like the problem is that it's just grab bag forum now because there's four top level forums. Three of them are where you post math problems, and then everything else goes in CNP. So, I don't know. But I don't think, at least when I was a contestant, I really did not think that was true. That math contest people are relatively immature. Like I don't, no, I don't. I really don't think this was true when I was at least when I was a student. And yeah, I think the part of the thing is that the math contest community is getting younger. Like the average age of people is a lot lower than it used to be. So if that happens, it will automatically seem less mature compared to like 10 years ago, say. But even then, I didn't. Even then, I don't think it's this. I don't know. People who are more mature at math are more mature in practice on average. Yeah, I think. I mean, I suspect part of it is just correlated with getting older. Um, yeah. Though, I don't think it's entirely age. I actually do think. I think there's a good case to be made that if you learn your math well, um, learning math well changes the way you think somehow. And I don't think anyone quite understands how, but I think there's something there. You think about things differently if you're good at math. Like I would say in particular, I think it's because of, for me, it was because of teaching math contests that I developed a lot more empathy, I think. I feel like I am much better at modeling other people because of all the experience I've had with teaching math contests. Did you solve this year's TST6? No, not even close. That problem's absurd. I put it on because everyone wanted it. I was like, no one's gonna get it. No, 0 points. Why don't you solve it in the next stream? Because I've already seen the solution and I don't have enough space on my Twitch stream to do a problem like that. Like, the diagram would overwhelm the screen almost by itself, and then I have to actually write text. Complex Bashet is an experiment. You know, I kind of want the stream to actually work a little. Phone stream and paper diagrams. Oh my lord. Why is there no IMO Shortlist 2014? It wasn't published. It was because there was a lot of problems on it, and then it was felt like it would be a bit of a waste if we just posted the entire shortlist. So we made a decision that that shortlist we would, and I think maybe the 2015 one as well. I'm not sure, but there were some years we decided not to publish it because we wanted it to save. If we wanted to use them for mock tests later, that would be a good resource. Of course, because the Elmo is not run by any central organization, no one really knows what the status of the problems is anymore. Um, I assume because I shouldn't post them because people are assuming they're not posted, so they're kind of just tucked away. Um, how did a problem that was wrong on written make it on the Elmo shortlist? Well, before 2016 or 17ish, the Elmo shortlist was actually a long list. Just everything that was proposed made the quote-unquote shortlist. There wasn't a screening. Yeah, so the shortlist is actually approved now. So that's why there's only like, because I think a typical Elmo now gets like between 50 and 100 proposals these days. The Elmo gets a lot of problems. Yeah, that's why we started cutting it off because we were like, we're not. I mean, I don't want to just post 100 problems every year. Like that's too much. We can use these problems for something else. So now we return the long. We return the problems that don't make the shortlist to the authors so that they can put them on HMMT in 3 years or something like that. Why don't all middle school JMO winners make MOP? All right, middle school rule. Um, there are a couple reasons why. I shouldn't say reasons. There are a couple justifications given. You don't have to agree with them, but this is what the decision was. Um, why don't? I mean, I was also affected by that in 2010. I am one of them. I was the first JMO middle school winner. uh, um, like so, like the obvious thing is social maturity. That's like a reason that's brought up. There's some legal issues that come up if you're under, if you're not in high school yet and you you need to be housed at a dorm in CMU. There are some legal issues that come up because the student is too young. Um, in particular, I think if you're under 13, you actually can't live on campus. You have to live off campus or something. I'm not sure if. Sorry, I shouldn't say that because I'm not sure about it. Sorry, forget I said that. If you're under 13, there are some complications. I don't know exactly what they are, but I think the big thing is that someone who wins the JMO in 8th grade is very likely to get invited to the program in future years anyways. And I think I've sort of developed this view that I think we should be more egalitarian. uh, That's not egalitarian. Like, I think it's better to have like 3 people each go to MOP once rather than someone go 3 times on average or something. What about this year? Yeah, this year is well, no one knows what's happening this year. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Yeah, like in particular, looking back, I don't really mind the fact that I didn't get to go to MOP in 2010 because when I look back, I don't think I was actually ready anyways. Like if I had gone to MOP in 2010, I don't think I was mathematically strong enough to get that much out of it. I would have just kind of gotten annihilated and maybe not taken it that well because I was like in 8th grade. And I got to go later, so it was fine. Like it's just for someone that young, it shouldn't be a huge deal. I'd rather like someone who like has only one chance left to get the spot. To some extent, like they like yes, they also got a higher score, but shrug. Why do a few of those winners still make mob? Because not everyone agrees with the middle school rule. So every year at the end, when the results are, when we're starting to pick the students, so we're staring at a spreadsheet with grade levels and scores, but no names. Then people start arguing, and then people say the same things they've been saying for the last N years, and then Depending on the year, sometimes we let a person in. Yeah. No, like as I said, it's not consistent. Like every year, we just have the argument again about whether we should admit eighth graders, and then depending both on like the year and also like what the score distribution looks like, some people get invited in anyways. I don't like this. I think we should just make a rule and stick with it. But I don't make the rules. And the rule is apparently we just argue about it every year. If there's no Amy 2 this year, does 2020 Amy 2 become a 2021 Amy? Unclear. I just don't know what's going to happen right now. As I said, the MAA is conservative. They like to think things through very carefully before they make a, yeah. There was a rule that blue and black mob allowed eighth graders and below. Um, I think that was sort of the it was sort of the expectation going in for a long time. I think it still kind of is like, but it's not a formal rule anywhere, either internally or externally. Well, externally there's no rules at all. Like externally, we just say we will invite high scoring students. End of sentence. Um, the internal guideline, I think, doesn't have this explicitly either, but people tend to say, okay, if someone does make blue or black in eighth grade, fine. Um, yeah, I can't think of any exceptions to that in recent years. It's just not formally written anywhere as far as I know. When the 2020 base problems have, yeah, it's, I don't know. Any middle schoolers recently made green mom, so um, I actually don't know offhand. I would have to look at my notes. Although I'm not allowed to say anyways. Like I shouldn't be revealing people's grades and attendance things. Yeah, I bet it's happened. I just can't remember. The years all get mixed up in my head now. I can't keep track of who's who. The funding for the expansion of MOB to include ninth and 10th graders. I believe that, but that was also in 2002. I think kind of these days, I'm not sure. If there was such a clause, I'm not aware that it's still there. You've been to MOB so many times by now. Not as many as some other people I know. Actually, I haven't. I went 11, 12 as a student and 16, 17, 18, 19 as staff. So it's only 6 times. Um, I know people who have been there like 20 or maybe not 20, but a lot more than that. I don't know if Nikolai's been to MOB actually. Potion has been to a lot, although I don't know if he's. I don't know how many. Um, Sun actually, I think might be the one with a record. Maybe not. No, is it me? Sun has been so many times that it's kind of absurd. Um, Let me check. Okay, it's not as many as I thought. Sun was attended between like 2007 and 2018, according to his CV, as a staff, and then presumably some more times as a student. Oncon. Yeah, Oncon is so. I don't know how Uncle comes up with so much stuff. It's crazy. I can't keep up with him. Oh man, I've been live for like 3 hours now. Oh man. Alright. Please propose a geo for IMO. Maybe. Alright. Yeah, I haven't had good ideas for a while now. Although I haven't actually been trying that much. How did you come up with A7? There's a story behind that. But it was tangent. The idea was tangent parabola method. I wanted to have a problem that was solved by something like that. Let me turn to the desktop for this. Oops, no, it's not desktop. Ugh, freaking. Okay, I have some notes on this. So it wasn't tangent line trick though, it was tangent parabola trick. So basically the idea is I wanted a bound something by a quadratic above. And the idea I initially had was something like let me write down the following. The following inequality is true. So x squared minus 6 18 over x squared plus 2 is less than or equal to x squared minus 6x plus 11 because it's equivalent to 0 less than or equal to x minus 1 x minus 2. So my idea was I wanted to be able to take a fraction and bound it above by a quadratic polynomial. And it turns out if you do this correctly, you have a double root. So I can make this equality have like equality at 2 places. And so what that means is if I cyclically sum, so cyclic sum of the left-hand side, so cyclic sum of 18 over x squared plus 2 will be less than like, I guess, sum x squared minus 6 sum x plus 44. Or, let me say 11 times the number of variables. Something like that. And I was like, okay, great, I have something like this, and there's like 2 conditions, which is fine. But then I was looking at this and I was like, okay, I have this 18 over x squared plus 2. It kind of looks like Holder. And I did something. What was it? I did something. I forget exactly what it was. I did something like cyclic sum of w squared against the x squared plus 2 to see what would happen. And when I did this, I got I can't remember the exact details, but basically I then tried to mix a Holder in, and then somehow the sum of squares condition disappeared in a way that I wasn't expecting. And yeah, basically I ran into this huge miracle that I was like completely not expecting when I was crafting together stuff like this. What is tangent parabola? It's not a thing. I made up that word. Like the tangent line trick is when you approximate a function by its first derivative. And I thought it would be cool if I had a problem where you make it by the second derivative. And I was looking at this because I hadn't seen a problem before that was solved by that method. So I was like, can I make something for which you actually want the second order Taylor rather than the first order Taylor? And you can force that upon the student by having two equality cases, like by this squared thing. So I was like, okay, what can I make? And then that was the seed of the idea. And I pushed at it with the holder with an extra application of holder, and then something happened. It like somehow clicked in a way that I wasn't expecting it to, and that's how the A7 was created. Yeah, the idea was I wanted to see, can I make an inequality where I did need to take Taylor to second order, and then somehow it just happened. I still don't really understand why it happened. Like there was a nice coincidence that made the problem only need one constraint rather than two, and I still don't understand why it happened, but it was there. Did you find the one-liner? No, and neither did anyone at MOP. I think when we used it on the mock IMO. The one-liner was found by one of the Russian TST organizers. They gave the problem on a Russian TST, and then no one solved it either. Um, but one of the organizers found the one-line solution and sent it to me. I was like, wow, that is real strong. Yeah, so that happened. So yeah, tangent parabola is not a thing. I specifically made this problem with to see if I could get something with it, but it's not supposed to be a method you're supposed to know. How do you come up with it? I don't know. I mean, it works in the equality case. I'd have to think about it some more. Yeah, I can't save a current contest, honey, but if you want like a sense, like the IMO gets 100 proposals every year, so I am ish. It's been going up actually. I think they broke 200 in some year. So, um, IMO alone is probably on the order of like if you take just from 2000 to 2020, it's on the order of like it's on the order of a few thousand problems, and then yeah. Do I think USAMTS is comparable? I think USAMTS is intended to be easier, even the hardest problems on USAMTS. All right. Okay. It's getting late, so I'll probably retire pretty soon. Um, but since you guys are here, I can schedule the next stream while I still have an audience. Have I graded for USAMTS? No. All right. Anyone interested in helping me schedule the stream? I think my default right now is I'm going to say Saturday, April 11th evening. Um, but I'm open to being persuaded to pick a different time. All right, I'm not hearing anything, so I'm gonna. What time that Saturday? I think by default 8 p.m. Eastern is probably a good time to start. Usually. Okay. All right. It sounds like no one feels strongly, so I'll put down April 11th for number three, and then Twitch. And we'll schedule. We'll say 3 hours via default. I hope I don't actually spend 3 hours. All right. So yeah, almost midnight. End of April Fool's Day. So oh man, I should have played a prank of some sort, but I don't know what I would do. Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming out, guys. Hope you guys had fun, and see you hopefully on Saturday the 11th. The prank was yeah, yeah. That's my strategy. Is the first start by not drawing the diagram correctly. All right. All right. See y'all, guys.